Work hard in silence. Let success make the noise. Success isn't about talking. It's about doing. In today's world, people are obsessed with broadcasting their goals, seeking validation, and proving themselves before they've even begun the real work. But here's the truth. The most powerful transformations happen in silence. Think about it. The strongest trees grow their roots deep underground before anyone sees them rise. The greatest champions train behind closed doors before stepping onto the world stage. The most impactful ideas are developed in solitude before they change history. We crave recognition. We want people to see our effort. But if you're constantly announcing your goals, you're wasting energy that should be spent on building, refining, and improving. Instead of seeking applause, seek progress. Instead of proving yourself, focus on improving yourself. History's most remarkable achievers weren't the ones who talked the loudest. They were the ones who silently mastered their craft while the world remained unaware. And when the moment was right, they revealed something so extraordinary that no one could ignore it. Today, I'm going to show you why working in silence is the key to success, how to develop unshakable discipline, and why your results should always speak louder than your words. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I break down how you can cut through distractions, silence self-doubt, and create the kind of success that shocks the world. Let's dive in. Number 1, the best work happens in private. Success isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. The late nights, the early mornings, the hours spent perfecting your craft in silence. That's where greatness is born. The world only sees the finished product, the moment of victory, but it never witnesses the relentless effort that happens behind closed doors. Think about J.K. Rowling, the woman behind Harry Potter. Before she became one of the most successful authors in history, she was a struggling single mother, writing in cafes while battling rejection after rejection. No one saw those lonely nights, the self-doubt, or the countless revisions she made before her story reached the world. But she didn't let failure or invisibility stop her. She kept writing, working in silence, until her work spoke so loudly that it was impossible to ignore. The best work happens in private, because that's where you have the freedom to fail. When no one is watching, you can make mistakes, learn from them, and grow without fear of judgment. Imagine an artist creating a masterpiece. Each brushstroke, each correction, each improvement happens in solitude. By the time the world sees the final painting, they don't see the discarded drafts or the hours of practice. They only see the brilliance of the finished piece. But why do so many people struggle with this? Because we want validation. We want people to see how hard we're working. We want them to acknowledge our effort. But here's the truth. Seeking validation too soon can rob you of your focus. When you work for applause instead of improvement, you become addicted to approval instead of mastery. Real success doesn't come from seeking attention. It comes from putting in the work, day after day, without expecting immediate recognition. Take a look at Steve Jobs in the early years of Apple. He wasn't out telling the world what he was going to do. He was in a garage, tirelessly working with his team, perfecting ideas that would change technology forever. He let his work speak for itself. And when the world finally saw it, they were stunned. If you want to be truly great, stop announcing your progress and start building in silence. Let your results be undeniable. When you finally emerge, people will wonder where you came from, how you did it, and why they never saw it coming. And that's the beauty of working in private. It gives you the time, space, and freedom to become unstoppable. Number 2, the discipline of doing the work without announcing it. It's easy to talk about what you're going to do. In fact, simply announcing your goals can make you feel like you're already making progress. But here's the reality. Talking is not the same as doing. Success doesn't come from words. It comes from consistent, disciplined action. The world is full of people who make big declarations but never follow through. What separates achievers from dreamers is the discipline to work in silence, day after day, without seeking validation. One of the greatest examples of this is Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history. While other swimmers trained hard, Phelps trained even harder, and he did it in complete silence. He followed a relentless training schedule, swimming every single day, including weekends, holidays, and even Christmas. He didn't post about his workouts, seek recognition, or look for excuses. He simply did the work. His coach once revealed that Phelps trained for 5 straight years without missing a single day. an unheard-of level of discipline in competitive sports. When he finally stepped onto the Olympic stage, the world was stunned by his dominance, but Phelps wasn't surprised. He already knew he had outworked everyone else. This is the kind of discipline that leads to greatness. Most people only work hard when they feel like it. But true discipline means doing the work even when no one is watching, even when motivation fades, even when progress feels slow. It's about committing to the process, regardless of whether anyone is there to applaud you. The moment you realize that success is built on discipline, not excitement, you become unstoppable. The problem is that people crave recognition. They want to feel like their work matters, so they talk about their goals, hoping for encouragement. But what if seeking validation is actually holding you back? Studies have shown that when you tell people about your goals, your brain gets a dopamine boost, the same feeling of satisfaction you'd get from actually achieving the goal. This tricks your mind into believing you've already made progress, making you less likely to put in the necessary effort. That's why so many people announce their dreams but never follow through. They feel accomplished just from talking about them. Instead of seeking motivation from others, develop the discipline to push forward on your own. Imagine a sculptor working on a masterpiece. Each day they chip away at the stone, making tiny improvements that no one notices. The work is slow, repetitive, and sometimes frustrating. But they keep going, refining their craft without an audience. And then one day, they step back and see what they've created, a masterpiece. This is how success works. It's not a sudden explosion of talent. It's the result of years of disciplined effort. Consider Leonardo da Vinci, one of history's greatest minds. Before he painted the Mona Lisa, he spent years mastering anatomy, light, and perspective, filling notebooks with observations and sketches. He didn't rush to show the world his work before it was ready. Instead, he built his knowledge quietly, so when he finally unveiled his masterpiece, it was flawless. That's the power of discipline. It allows you to work without distractions, without the need for immediate results, and without external validation. It teaches you to focus on mastery, not attention. When you truly commit to the process, you don't need to tell anyone what you're doing. Your results will speak for themselves. Here's a simple test. If you stopped telling people about your goals today, would you still work just as hard? If the answer is no, then you're relying too much on external motivation. But if you can wake up, put in the work, and stay focused without needing applause, then you've developed true discipline, the kind that leads to unstoppable success. The world doesn't need more people who talk about what they're going to do. It needs more people who quietly put in the work and let their success make the noise. Don't waste your energy trying to prove yourself. Instead, invest that energy into becoming someone no one can ignore. Because when the time comes and the world finally sees what you've built, they won't just be impressed, they'll be shocked. Number 3. Why people doubt you and why it doesn't matter? Whenever you start chasing something big, people will doubt you. They will question your ability, your ideas, and your vision. Some will tell you it's impossible, while others will try to talk you out of it because they don't see what you see. But here's what you need to understand. Their doubt is not about you. It's about them. It's a reflection of their own fears, limitations, and insecurities. The biggest mistake you can make is letting their doubt become your doubt. Look at Walt Disney, the man who created one of the most magical brands in history. When he was young, he was fired from his job at a newspaper because his editor told him he lacked imagination. Can you believe that? The man who built Disney, the man who transformed the entertainment industry, was once told that he had no creativity. Most people would have given up right there. They would have accepted the judgment of others as fact, but not Disney. He kept working, refining his skills, and believing in his vision. He ignored the doubters, and because of that, he built something that outlived all of them. People doubt you because they don't understand what you're doing, and that's okay. They're not supposed to. Your dreams are yours, not theirs. The reason they can't see your potential is because they don't have your vision. They don't know the work you're willing to put in, the sacrifices you're ready to make, or the fire that's burning inside you. So when they doubt you, don't take it personally. Just smile and let them talk. Because one day your success will make them eat their words. Doubt is a test. It's there to see if you have the resilience to keep going. If you crumble at the first sign of resistance, you were never really committed in the first place. Every great person in history has faced doubt. Albert Einstein was told he wouldn't amount to anything when he was in school. The Beatles were rejected by record labels, because they were told their music had no future. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. If they had listened to the doubters, they would have faded into obscurity. But they didn't. They believed in themselves when no one else did. And eventually, the world had no choice but to believe in them too. Here's a hard truth. Some people will doubt you simply because they don't want to see you succeed. It's not because they don't think you can do it. It's because they're afraid that you actually will. Your success will force them to confront their own failures, their own lack of effort, their own wasted potential. And that makes people uncomfortable. Instead of pushing themselves, they try to pull you down. They'll call you unrealistic, tell you to be more practical, and try to convince you to settle for something safe. But the greatest danger in life is not failure. It's settling for a life that's less than what you're capable of. So what do you do when people doubt you? You keep going. You let their doubt fuel your fire instead of extinguishing it. You don't waste time arguing or trying to prove yourself to people who don't matter. Instead, you focus on the work. You put your head down, grind in silence, and let your results do the talking. Because when the day comes that you succeed, the same people who doubted you will suddenly have nothing to say. Muhammad Ali understood this better than anyone. He wasn't just one of the greatest boxers of all time. He was also one of the most doubted. Before every major fight, critics, commentators, and even other fighters said he wouldn't make it. But Ali didn't let that shake his confidence. He trained relentlessly, stayed focused, and proved them wrong, time and time again. His victories weren't just about winning a fight. They were about showing the world that no amount of doubt could stop someone who believed in themselves. You have to develop the same mindset. The opinions of others don't define you. What defines you is how you respond. Will you let doubt discourage you, or will you use it as fuel to push even harder? The truth is, no matter what you do, people will always have something to say. If you fail, they'll say, "I told you so." If you succeed, they'll say you got lucky. Either way, their words mean nothing. The only thing that matters is that you believe in yourself. Because when you do, nothing can stop you. Not doubt, not criticism, not setbacks. When you refuse to let outside opinions dictate your path, you become unstoppable. And one day, when you're standing at the top, the people who doubted you won't be doubters anymore. They'll be spectators, watching in amazement at what you've built. Number 4, cutting out distractions and staying focused. Distractions are everywhere, pulling us away from the work that really matters. They disguise themselves as entertainment, urgent notifications, endless scrolling, and even the opinions of others. The truth is, the people who achieve massive success aren't necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They're simply the ones who learn how to block out distractions and stay focused. If you want to win in life, you must develop the ability to protect your time, energy, and attention. Imagine if Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players in history, had spent her time constantly checking social media, watching Netflix, or engaging in pointless conversations about what others thought of her. Would she have dominated the sport for over 2 decades? Absolutely not. While other players allowed distractions to break their focus, Serena was locked in. She trained harder, studied her opponents, and dedicated every ounce of her energy to becoming a champion. She didn't let distractions dictate her schedule. She controlled her focus like a weapon. But in today's world, distractions are more dangerous than ever. We live in a time where our attention is constantly under attack. Social media, emails, texts, and notifications are designed to steal our focus, making it nearly impossible to sit down and do deep, meaningful work. And the worst part, most people don't even realize they're being controlled. Every time you check your phone, every time you get lost in an endless loop of scrolling, you are giving away your most valuable resource, your focus. If you want to achieve something big, you need to develop laser-sharp focus. You need to train your mind like an athlete trains their body. The first step, identify your distractions. What is stealing your time? What is pulling you away from the work that actually moves you forward? Maybe it's social media, TV, gaming, or meaningless conversations. Maybe it's people who constantly drag you into negativity and gossip. Whatever it is, cut it out. Not reduce it, not balance it. Eliminate it. One of the greatest minds in history, Nikola Tesla, was known for his extreme focus. He was obsessed with his work, often forgetting to eat or sleep because he was so deep in thought. While others were wasting time chasing fame and fortune, Tesla was perfecting his ideas in solitude. He didn't chase distractions, he chased progress. And because of that, he changed the world. So how do you develop this kind of focus in your own life? First, create an environment that supports deep work. If your phone is constantly buzzing, put it in another room. If social media tempts you, delete the apps. If noise distracts you, find a quiet space. Your environment matters more than you think. You can't expect to stay focused if you're constantly surrounded by things pulling you in different directions. Next, set clear, non-negotiable work hours. Whether you're building a business, writing a book, training for a competition, or learning a new skill, you need to block out time where nothing interrupts you. When it's time to work, work, no excuses, no distractions. Treat it like an appointment with success, because that's exactly what it is. Another key to staying focused is learning how to say no. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are saying no to your goals. People will try to pull you away, invite you to things that don't align with your vision, or make you feel guilty for not participating in every conversation, every event, every trend. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your time. If something isn't helping you move forward, cut it out. Think about Tiger Woods in his prime. He wasn't out partying, wasting time, or getting caught up in unnecessary drama. He was practicing, refining his skills, and staying mentally locked in. While others were easily distracted, he remained unshakable. That's why he dominated golf for years, because he had mastered the art of focus. The final step to cutting out distractions is developing an obsession with your goals. When you become truly obsessed with what you're trying to achieve, distractions naturally start to fade away. You won't have time to waste on meaningless activities because you'll be too busy building something great. When Thomas Edison was inventing the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. Did he stop and complain? No, he kept going, completely consumed by his vision. He understood something most people never will. If you're serious about success, you can't afford to waste time. So ask yourself, are you focused or are you distracted? Are you moving toward your goals every day, or are you letting small, meaningless things steal your time? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't intelligence, luck, or resources. It's focus. Starting today, make the decision to take control of your attention. Turn off the distractions. Guard your time fiercely. Train your mind to lock in on what truly matters. And when you do that, when you develop unbreakable focus, you will accomplish more in 1 year than most people do in a lifetime. Number 5. Let the results speak for themselves. In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, the most powerful statement you can make is letting your results speak for themselves. Too many people waste time trying to convince others of their potential, talking endlessly about what they're going to do instead of simply doing it. But the truth is, the world doesn't respect words. It respects undeniable success. If you focus on executing instead of explaining, eventually, people won't need an explanation. Your results will say everything for you. Think about Quentin Tarantino, one of the most influential filmmakers of all time. Before he became famous, he worked in a video rental store, watching films obsessively, studying scripts, and writing his own material. He didn't go around telling people he was going to change Hollywood. He simply put in the work, day after day, without seeking approval. When Reservoir Dogs was released, it caught the industry off guard. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know who he was. But Tarantino didn't have to introduce himself. His work introduced him to the world. That's the power of letting your results do the talking. If you build something great, people will notice. You won't have to beg for recognition, explain your vision over and over, or convince people to believe in you. When your work is excellent, it speaks louder than any words ever could. The problem is that most people don't have the patience to wait for their results to unfold. They want instant validation. They want people to acknowledge their effort before it has even produced anything real. But success doesn't work that way. The best way to gain respect is to work in silence and let your achievements create the noise. Look at Michael Jordan. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't throw a tantrum or seek sympathy. He didn't go around explaining to everyone why he deserved a spot. Instead, he went back to the gym and worked harder than anyone else. By the time he made it back onto the team, his performance spoke for itself. Later, when he dominated the NBA, the people who once doubted him had no choice but to recognize his greatness. He didn't demand respect. He earned it. Too often, people try to prove themselves with words, seeking approval before they've actually built anything. But when you focus on becoming excellent, recognition is automatic. If you're the best at what you do, people will come to you. If your work is undeniable, people will seek you out. That's why the most successful people in the world don't waste time announcing their every move. They don't feel the need to convince others. They let their work do the convincing. Think about Maya Angelou, the legendary writer and poet. She didn't spend years trying to prove that she was talented. She spent years perfecting her craft. By the time she published I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, her words were so powerful that the world had to pay attention. She didn't have to demand recognition. Her work made people recognize her. So the question is, are you focused on proving yourself, or are you focused on improving yourself? Every time you seek validation, every time you feel the urge to explain why you're capable, remind yourself your work should make that case for you. If you're spending more time talking about success than actually working for it, you're moving in the wrong direction. One of the biggest advantages of working in silence is that it keeps you free from external pressure. When you announce your goals prematurely, you invite unnecessary opinions, doubt, and expectations. But when you keep your head down and grind, no one is there to interfere. You have the space to make mistakes, experiment, and grow without judgment. And when the time comes to reveal what you've built, it will be undeniable. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. Before he painted the Mona Lisa, he spent years studying anatomy, perfecting his understanding of light, shadow, and perspective. He didn't rush to show the world every sketch he made. He kept refining his skills in private. By the time he revealed his masterpiece, it was so extraordinary that it became one of the most celebrated paintings in history. He didn't tell the world he was great, he proved it. The lesson here is simple. Stop explaining, stop proving, and start building. If you truly believe in what you're doing, then you don't need to waste time convincing anyone. Keep your energy focused on execution and let your success become the loudest voice in the room. If you stay disciplined, if you put in the work without seeking attention, one day people will look at you and wonder, how did they do it? They won't remember your words, they'll remember your results. And when that moment comes, you won't need to say anything at all, because the proof of your effort, your mastery, and your dedication will be right in front of them. Number 6, why you should never announce your goals. It's natural to feel excited when you set a big goal. You want to tell your friends, family, and maybe even post about it online. You feel like sharing your plans will make them more real. That hearing encouragement from others will push you forward. But here's a truth most people don't realize. Announcing your goals too early can actually stop you from achieving them. The moment you talk about what you're going to do, your brain releases dopamine, the same feel-good chemical you get when you achieve something. But the problem is, you haven't actually done anything yet. You're just talking. And that temporary sense of accomplishment can trick you into losing the drive to follow through. Think about David Bowie, one of the most legendary musicians of all time. He didn't announce his creative reinventions before they were ready. He worked on them in secret, spending months, sometimes years, perfecting his music and crafting his image. Then when the world least expected it, he unleashed something groundbreaking. That's why he stayed relevant for decades. He never gave people empty promises, only finished masterpieces. Now imagine if he had announced every idea before it was fully formed. Imagine if he had let others' opinions influence him before he had the chance to experiment and refine his work. He might have hesitated, doubted himself, or lost momentum before ever bringing his vision to life. This is exactly what happens when you talk too much about your goals before they're real. When you announce your plans, you open yourself up to distractions, doubts, and unnecessary pressure. People will have opinions, and not all of them will be positive. Some will question you, others will discourage you, and a few might even laugh. And suddenly, instead of focusing on execution, you're defending yourself. You're explaining why your idea is great, instead of making it great. You're wasting energy proving yourself to people who will never understand your vision. Look at Harrison Ford, one of the most iconic actors of all time. Before he became Han Solo or Indiana Jones, he was a struggling actor who took up carpentry to pay the bills. He didn't run around telling people he was going to be a Hollywood star. He simply worked, took small roles, honed his craft, and when the opportunity came, he was ready. By the time Star Wars changed his life, the world had no idea where he had come from. That's the power of working in silence. When you finally emerge, people are left speechless. Another major reason you should never announce your goals is that it sets unrealistic expectations. The moment you tell people what you're going to do, they start watching. They expect results. And if those results don't come quickly, doubt starts creeping in, not just from others, but from yourself. You start questioning whether you're making progress fast enough, whether you're good enough, whether you should even keep going. But if you had never announced it in the first place, you could have just focused on the work instead of the judgment. Think about how many times you've seen people post about their new journey on social media. They announce they're going to start a business, lose weight, write a book, or change their life. At first, they get a flood of likes and support. But what happens a few weeks later? Most of them quit. The motivation fades. The reality of hard work sets in, and the pressure to live up to their own words becomes overwhelming. Instead of talking, just start. Let the results build in silence. Let your work develop behind the scenes, away from distractions. The less you say, the more control you have over your process. When you don't seek approval, you're free to take risks, make mistakes, and grow without worrying about how others perceive you. Think about the Wright brothers, the pioneers of aviation. While other inventors were busy making public claims about building flying machines, they kept their work quiet. They spent years experimenting, failing, improving, and learning without seeking attention. And then, one day they did the impossible. The world didn't see the sweat, the broken prototypes, or the long nights. They only saw the result, a plane that took flight and changed history forever. So here's the challenge. The next time you set a goal, keep it to yourself. Resist the temptation to talk about it. Instead, channel that energy into action. Work in silence, refine your skills, and build something real before anyone even knows what you're doing. When the time comes to reveal your success, it won't be a promise. It will be proof. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful statement you can make isn't telling the world what you're going to do. It's letting them see what you've already done. Number 7. The power of surprise in success. Success is always more impactful when it catches people off guard. When you work in silence, away from distractions, without announcing your every move, the moment you finally reveal what you've been building, it hits harder. The world isn't prepared for it. And that's exactly why it leaves such a lasting impression. There's an undeniable power in surprising people with your success. Because when no one sees you coming, they have no choice but to stop and take notice. Take Maya Angelou, for example. She spent years refining her writing, quietly working on her craft while dealing with immense personal struggles. When she finally released I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, the world was stunned. People weren't expecting such a raw, powerful voice to emerge. But she had spent years becoming that voice before anyone even knew her name. She didn't need to build hype. Her work spoke so loudly that the world had no choice but to listen. That's the beauty of the element of surprise. When you keep your work private, you eliminate the pressure to perform for an audience. You're free to make mistakes, adjust, improve, and grow without anyone interfering. But more importantly, you build something real. And when you finally reveal it, it makes a much greater impact because it wasn't overhyped or diluted by premature announcements. Look at Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple. Unlike Steve Jobs, who was the face of the company, Wozniak preferred to work in the background, quietly developing technology that would change the world. While other companies were making noise about their plans, Wozniak was designing the first Apple computers in his spare time. No one saw him coming until suddenly he and Jobs unveiled a product that revolutionized the industry. That's the power of working in silence and striking when the time is right. Too many people believe that, in order to be successful, they need to constantly announce their progress, update the world on their journey, and seek recognition before they've actually accomplished anything. But the truth is, talking about success before it happens weakens its impact. It creates unnecessary expectations, invites opinions that can shake your confidence, and steals the energy you should be putting into your craft. Imagine if Leonardo DiCaprio had spent years telling everyone he was going to be one of the greatest actors of his generation, instead of actually focusing on mastering his craft. He didn't need to talk. He let his performances do that for him, from Titanic to The Revenant. He kept pushing his limits, and when the time came, his talent was undeniable. He didn't just show up. He shocked the world with his dedication and skill. The element of surprise also eliminates competition. When people know what you're working on, they may try to copy, criticize, or discourage you. But when you work in silence, you give yourself the upper hand. Your competitors don't see your progress. They don't know what you're building, what strategy you're using, or when you'll strike. And when you finally do, they're left scrambling to catch up. Think about Mark Zuckerberg when he was building Facebook. He didn't go around telling people he was about to create the most influential social media platform in history. He just worked quietly, consistently, obsessively, until one day Facebook exploded onto the scene, and no one could ignore it. Now imagine applying this principle to your own life. Instead of telling people what you're going to do, just do it. Work in silence. Stay focused. Put in the hours without needing recognition. And when you finally unveil your success, let it be so undeniable, so unexpected, so powerful, that people have no choice but to pay attention. Because here's the thing, when you surprise the world with your success, it's not just impressive, it's unforgettable. Number 8. Turning hard work into a lifelong habit. Success isn't about one lucky break or a moment of inspiration. It's about consistency. Hard work isn't something you do for a few weeks or months when you feel motivated. It's something you turn into a lifelong habit, a non-negotiable part of who you are. The people who achieve greatness don't rely on motivation, because motivation fades. Instead, they rely on discipline, routine, and relentless effort, day after day, whether they feel like it or not. Take Bruce Lee, for example. He didn't just train when he was in the mood. He made martial arts and physical conditioning a way of life. He believed that daily discipline was more powerful than occasional bursts of effort. His training schedule was brutal, endless drills, thousands of punches and kicks, strengthening his body and mind to a level few could comprehend. That's why, when he stepped into a fight, he wasn't just good, he was unstoppable. His skill wasn't built overnight. It was ingrained into his daily habits, making him a legend. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. Winners show up every day. They don't wait for the perfect moment, and they don't need external motivation to push them forward. They've trained themselves to work, whether they feel like it or not. The secret to turning hard work into a habit is making it automatic, just like brushing your teeth or eating breakfast. It's not something you have to think about. It's something you just do. But here's the problem. Most people only work hard when it's easy. They put in effort when they feel inspired, when things are going well, when progress is visible. But the real test of success is what you do when no one is watching, when it's hard, when you feel like quitting. That's where habits become your greatest weapon. When you train yourself to keep going, no matter the circumstances, success becomes inevitable. Look at Pablo Picasso, one of the most prolific artists in history. While most people associate him with a few famous paintings, the truth is, he created over 50,000 pieces of art in his lifetime. He didn't just paint when he had a brilliant idea. He painted every single day. He treated his craft like a job, showing up whether inspiration struck or not. That's why he became a master. Not because of one great painting, but because of a lifetime of relentless creation. So how do you turn hard work into a habit? Start small, but stay consistent. Too many people try to change everything at once. They set massive goals, go all in for a few days, and then burn out. But real success comes from building momentum. If you want to get in shape, don't commit to 2-hour workouts right away. Just start with 10 minutes a day. If you want to write a book, don't aim for 50 pages in one sitting. Just start with a paragraph. The key is to build a routine that sticks. The second step is to eliminate excuses. There will always be reasons to put things off. You're tired, you're busy, you're not in the mood. But success doesn't care about your excuses. The work has to get done, no matter what. When you make hard work a habit, you don't negotiate with yourself. You don't ask if you feel like it. You just do it. Think about Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. People saw him break records in seconds, but what they didn't see were the years of training, the painful drills, the days when he didn't want to run but did it anyway. He didn't just rely on talent. He turned effort into a daily ritual. That's why when the world was watching, he delivered results that left them stunned. Another way to make hard work a habit is to track your progress. When you see how far you've come, it pushes you to keep going. Whether it's writing down workouts, marking completed tasks on a calendar, or setting small milestones, progress builds momentum. The more you stay consistent, the harder it becomes to break the chain. But the most important part, fall in love with the process. People fail to maintain hard work because they're obsessed with the end goal instead of the journey. The most successful people don't just chase the prize. They fall in love with the work itself. They find joy in the grind, satisfaction in the daily progress, and meaning in the struggle. Look at Beethoven, one of the greatest composers of all time. He didn't wait for inspiration. He forced himself to write music every day, even when he felt uninspired. He wasn't just a musical genius. He was a man of discipline, turning his craft into a daily commitment. That's what made him legendary. At the end of the day, talent alone won't get you far. Passion alone isn't enough. The only thing that guarantees success is relentless, habitual effort. The people who win are the ones who make hard work their default setting. They don't wake up and wonder if they'll be productive that day. They already know they will. So ask yourself, is hard work a habit for you? Or is it just something you do when you feel motivated? If you truly want success, you need to make effort automatic. Build the habit. Show up every day. Put in the work no matter what. And when you do, success won't be a question of if, it will be a question of when. Number 9. Why the journey matters more than the recognition. Most people chase success for one reason: recognition. They want the applause, the validation, the moment where everyone finally acknowledges their hard work. But what they don't realize is that success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. If you're only working for external rewards, you'll never feel fulfilled. But if you learn to love the process, you'll find purpose, growth, and a sense of accomplishment that no trophy or public recognition can give you. Take Mother Teresa, for example. She dedicated her life to serving others, yet she never did it for fame or recognition. She didn't seek awards, applause, or status. She simply focused on the work, day after day, year after year, because the journey of helping people was more meaningful to her than any acknowledgement. That's why her impact lasted far beyond her lifetime. She wasn't chasing success. She was living her purpose. Many people make the mistake of thinking that happiness and fulfillment will come after success. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I make $1 million, or I'll feel accomplished when I get that promotion. But then they reach their goal and realize something shocking. It doesn't feel as satisfying as they thought it would. That's because external rewards never last. The feeling of success fades quickly, and soon you're left searching for the next goal, the next milestone, the next moment of recognition. It becomes a never-ending chase. Look at Michael Schumacher, one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time. He didn't race for the trophies. He raced because he loved the thrill, the challenge, the competition. Even after breaking records, he didn't slow down. Why? Because it was never about the accolades. It was about the journey, the process of pushing himself to the limit. That's why he remained dominant for years. He didn't need external validation to keep going. The truth is, if you're only working for rewards, you'll lose motivation when the applause stops. But if you're working because you love the journey, you'll keep going no matter what. Think about it. Some of the most successful people in history kept working even after they had made it. Consider Stephen King, one of the most successful authors of all time. He didn't stop writing after Carrie became a bestseller. He kept going, decades later. After publishing over 60 novels, he still writes every single day. Not because he needs more money or recognition, but because he simply loves storytelling. The work itself is his greatest reward. If you're struggling to stay motivated, ask yourself, are you chasing the reward or are you chasing mastery? When you focus on mastering your craft, growing as a person, and learning along the way, success becomes a byproduct. The rewards will come, but they won't define you. Think about Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't fight for India's independence because he wanted fame. He did it because he believed in the cause. His journey was difficult, full of obstacles, doubt, and hardship. But he stayed committed, not because of what he would gain at the end, but because the fight itself was worth it. And in the end, his work changed history. Not because he sought recognition, but because he never let the absence of it stop him. Too many people quit when no one is watching. They feel like their work doesn't matter if it's not being recognized. But the reality is, the best work often happens in the dark. The greatest inventions, masterpieces, and achievements were created long before anyone saw the final result. Imagine if Vincent van Gogh had stopped painting because no one appreciated his work. During his lifetime, he sold only one painting. He was never recognized as a great artist while he was alive, but he kept painting anyway. He kept creating because he loved the process, not the recognition. And now, his paintings are some of the most valuable in the world. This is what separates true greatness from temporary success. The people who make an impact are the ones who fall in love with the process of getting better. They understand that success isn't a one-time event. It's a lifetime of continuous improvement. So how do you shift your mindset? Stop chasing the finish line. Instead, focus on becoming better every day. Improve your craft, refine your skills, and enjoy the process. When you take pride in your work, whether or not anyone is watching, you'll find fulfillment that no amount of recognition can match. Think about Warren Buffett. He doesn't invest because he wants to be seen as the richest man in the world. He does it because he loves the game, the challenge, the strategy. That's why, even in his 90s, he still wakes up excited to do the work. If you can learn to find joy in the journey, you'll never need motivation again. You'll never be dependent on external rewards. You'll work hard because you love what you do. And when success finally comes, it won't define you. It will simply be proof of what you've always known, that the real reward was who you became along the way. At the end of your life, you won't look back and remember the trophies, the likes, the money, or the applause. You'll remember the moments you challenged yourself, the days you pushed through difficulty, and the person you became in the process. That's the real success. So ask yourself, are you chasing recognition or are you chasing mastery? Because the ones who focus on the journey never stop winning. Number 10. How to keep winning after you succeed. Reaching success is one thing, but staying successful is an entirely different challenge. Many people push themselves relentlessly until they reach a goal, only to slow down, get comfortable, and eventually fade away. The truth is, success isn't a final destination. It's a continuous journey. The moment you start thinking, "I've made it," is the moment you start slipping. If you want to keep winning after you succeed, you must keep the same hunger, discipline, and focus that got you there in the first place. Look at Michael Jordan. After winning 3 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls, he could have retired and still been considered one of the greatest players ever. But he didn't stop. He trained even harder, refining his game, studying his opponents, and keeping his edge sharp. And when he came back, he won 3 more championships. He never let past victories make him complacent. Instead, he reinvented himself, adapting his play style, staying in peak condition, and maintaining the work ethic that made him legendary. That's the first lesson. Never settle. Success can be dangerous because it tricks you into thinking you can relax. But the best in the world never relax for long. They celebrate their wins, but they also ask themselves, what's next? The key to staying successful is having the mindset that there's always room to improve. Take Bill Gates, for example. After building Microsoft into a tech empire, he didn't just sit back and enjoy his billions. He shifted his focus to solving global issues, using his resources to combat poverty and disease. He didn't let success make him stagnant. He used it as a platform to achieve even bigger things. Another crucial factor in maintaining success is staying humble. When people achieve something great, it's easy to let arrogance creep in. They start believing they no longer need to learn, adapt, or work as hard. But that mindset is the fastest way to lose everything. The most successful people in the world remain students of their craft, constantly evolving and improving. Take Tom Hanks, one of the most respected actors of all time. Despite winning multiple Academy Awards, he never stopped learning. He didn't rely on past successes. He kept challenging himself with different roles, improving his craft, and staying relevant. That's why, decades later, he's still at the top of his industry. Complacency is the enemy of progress. The moment you start thinking you know it all, you stop growing. The moment you stop growing, someone else hungry and ambitious will surpass you. That's why staying successful requires constant learning, reinvention, and a relentless drive to keep improving. Look at Muhammad Ali. Even after becoming heavyweight champion, he never took his training lightly. He kept pushing himself, kept refining his technique, and stayed mentally sharp. He understood that if he lost his edge, he'd be replaced. And that's exactly what happens to people who stop working. They get replaced. Another key to sustaining success is avoiding distractions. Once you've achieved something significant, new distractions appear, people seeking your attention, unnecessary obligations, and the temptation to chase things that don't align with your long-term vision. Staying focused is just as important after success as it was before. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She built a media empire, but she didn't let success pull her in 100 different directions. She remained focused on her mission to inspire and uplift others. She turned down countless offers that didn't align with her purpose. That's why she remained relevant for decades, while others faded away. Another secret to long-term success: giving back. True winners understand that their legacy isn't just about what they achieve. It's about how they impact others. The greatest leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators use their success to lift others up. Take Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history. He spent his later years giving away most of his fortune, building libraries, funding education, and helping others succeed. He understood that real success isn't just about personal gain, it's about making a lasting impact. And finally, the most important rule for keeping success: stay hungry. The moment you stop being hungry for growth, for improvement, for excellence, you start losing. The best in the world never lose their hunger. Think about Warren Buffett. Even in his 90s, he still wakes up every day excited to read, learn, and make smarter investments. He doesn't work because he needs money. He works because he loves the process. That's the secret. If you stay in love with the journey, you will never stop winning. So how do you keep winning after success? Never settle. Stay humble. Keep learning. Eliminate distractions. Give back. And stay hungry. Because the moment you think you've arrived, someone else is out there training harder, learning faster, and preparing to take your spot. The real winners, they don't just succeed once. They make success a lifestyle. At the end of the day, success isn't about how many people know your plans. It's about how well you execute them. It's about the work you do when no one is watching. The effort you put in without validation, and the discipline to keep going even when there's no applause. The world doesn't reward those who talk about success. It rewards those who prove it through action. The greatest individuals in history didn't spend their time announcing what they were going to do. They spent their time doing it. They worked in silence, perfected their craft. And when they finally revealed their achievements, the world was left speechless. Think about the most successful people you admire. They weren't focused on telling others what they were building. They were too busy building it. When they finally stepped into the spotlight, it wasn't because they demanded attention. It was because their work was too great to be ignored. So the question is, are you going to talk about your goals, or are you going to silently build something that shocks the world? Starting today, make a commitment to work in silence. Block out distractions. Stay disciplined. Keep your energy focused on execution, not explanation. And when the time comes, when you finally unveil what you've been working on, it will be so undeniable, so powerful, that the world won't just notice. It will be shocking. Today, I've shown you why silent hard work is the secret weapon of success, how to stay disciplined without validation, and why letting your results speak for themselves will always make a greater impact than words ever could. Stay with me for the next few moments as I give you one final challenge. Take action today. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for permission. Just start. And when the world finally sees what you've built, they won't be able to ignore it.